Okay, I'm hopefully this is working. Hello, my name is Slim Shady. My name is Bill Sands. Sometimes I go by Guillaume Sands. In some formats, I don't like people to know too much about me. Doesn't really matter. I'm very old and semi-retired, so there's really not so much to tell. Um, I do blog, and I guess you could say I am or I was a bit of a journalist or I don't know, a media person. I obviously I'm you can tell I'm not that professional. I'm not good looking. My voice, well, some people I was told at one time I had a very high quality radio voice, but I never really made it into radio. Um, I've always found politics very interesting. It got me into market research and law and things like that, sales. I never quite got into what I wanted to do because I wasn't really quite sure what that was. Um, I did elections, but what a nasty business that is. I like to discuss political issues, and I think the one political issue that is discussed here at this site, I think I'll go to this site, is the issue. This site is more of the technicalities. It's supposed to avoid politics, and I am just going to brush the borderline of politics because I realize even discussing, most people seem to be very absolutist and adhere to the American constitutional framework that gun ownership is basically an absolute right. There is little or no justification for restricting it. Bazookas and nuclear. I don't know what people think. I don't know if they are thinking. You've got it. I think you've got, even if you believe in the right to bear arms, you have to realize the Supreme Court has always recognized. Even Scalia in Heller said explicitly there are restrictions that can be placed on it. Magazine capacity, um, right to carry. You can place restrictions. You can't break into your neighbor's house and sit there smoking a cigar and watching a TV with a machine gun. Your right to swing your fist, um, it stops at the, the next person's nose or whatever. And so that's the question. When do your rights start to interfere with the enjoyment of other people's lives if they are constantly, say you're a hothead and you yell at your wife or you kick your dog or you threaten to shoot your neighbor's dog, you're just not a good citizen. You're drunk, you're constantly getting traffic tickets, you have a bad driving record, you're always getting in fights, you're always threatening people. How safe would you feel with someone like that owning a gun? Or I wouldn't even feel safe having them around, let alone being armed. In a lot of countries, such conduct would prohibit you from owning a firearm. We're not even going to talk about whether it's semi-automatic or that kind of thing. Let's just talk about background checks. If you're even in the United States, if you're a felon, you can't own a gun. I think theoretically, if you're a lunatic, if they just let you out of a mental hospital, you're not supposed to have a gun if you're mentally incompetent. But there are just so few avenues to stop people from getting guns, like say licensing. In a lot of countries, you have to provide your record and prove that you have a clean criminal record. You have to prove that you have a clean medical record, that you can see, that you can move around in a coordinated fashion, that you're not paranoid or have any extreme mental dysfunction that would impair your ability to perceive reality or to control your impulses. Um, you would be vetted. I think even in Switzerland they do that. You have to be vet, or in Italy, a lot of places, Canada, most places, they don't just have red flag laws. Where they come and take your guns if you're acting crazy. If you can't prove that you have a clean mental health record, well, usually what happens is you go to the doctor. The doctor looks at you, waves his finger, asks him what day it is, what the year is, who's president or prime minister. Do you want to kill anybody? And if you seem reasonably okay, as long as you're not sitting there shaking and hallucinating, they'll, uh, they'll give you a clean bill of health. It depends on the country, though. But they will vet you. They will if you're just too nuts. And as far as criminals always having guns, if they catch you, you go to jail. I'll give you an example of that. Um, in the Czech Republic, which has fairly liberal laws, you have to get licensed, you have to be registered, even you have to take a first aid course to prove that. You have to take a first aid course to prove that if someone gets injured with a gunshot wound, that you can like dress the wound and things like that, which is kind of extraordinary. You have to know how to shoot the gun and gun safety and especially if you're going to carry, you can get concealed carry in Czech. You can get an automatic weapon, but they vet you. There's some crazy guy in Norway named Anders Breivik who wanted, I guess, a machine gun or automatic weapons. Eventually, he got them online from, of course, the United States. But he went to Prague. There was a big article in the BBC about this, about Prague was full of crap. He looked all over Prague because the Czech Republic was supposed to have the most liberal gun laws, and he couldn't get anybody to sell him a gun. They said, "Look, you're not a citizen. You don't have a license. There's just no way." They thought he was like an undercover, like a vice agent or something. So to say that gun law that the criminals will always get guns, it depends. And if you're a really elite criminal, yeah. But if you're just some bozo that's a little bit off mentally or some petty criminal, uh, they do work. Although I know you understand, you consider that to be an infringement. So I'm kind of in the middle. I get it from both sides. People that want to ban guns are angry because I said, oh well, just some background checks and some licensing, a system that will weed out the really real wackos. But the average ordinary person would be able to get a gun as long as they were trained and had a good, clean record. And a lot of people feel that the average person has no business with a gun, and that makes them very uncomfortable, especially in the United States or American society. Um, I think the premise of any licensing law would have to be that if you are an average person who is law abiding and sane, you have a good clean record, you don't have a history of getting in bar fights or beating your wife or speeding, or there are ways that they can tell from your record whether you have problems with impulse control, whether you're an impulsive person. I mean, if a doctor could see that your conduct was a little strange, a psychiatrist could pick out the person with impulse control, and license would be designed. And people like that don't really have a great time in the black market. Who's gonna sell me a gun? Because they're if you're slick and sophisticated, yeah, maybe, but it'll weed out some people. And then you get the people that drive me crazy. They don't want any sort of restriction at all. You can't have any background checks. You just go in and buy the gun, which is crazy. I think if you placed a few little loopholes, filled out a few forms, did some licensing, did some background checks, did some training. In extreme cases where the doctor was looking at somebody and they said, I don't know, he looks a little weird. He smells a little bad. I think maybe he hasn't had a shower in a while, and he seems to be talking to himself. Something extreme like that, might be an indication that this person probably shouldn't be out in public without like a nurse or something. I don't know, but I don't understand why there's a problem with restricting guns to people that are just overtly bozo, and they get them in the United States. You hear about a lot of these shootings. They're really, really sick people that shouldn't have guns. All right, that said, um, I haven't got any problem. Well, I do. I don't have any problem with the average person having a firearm as long as they can prove that they have a good, clean criminal record, and they're not nuts, and they're not some political extremist, and they're not some, hot-headed drunk that beats his wife. And that's I think, like in Canada, they say 90% of the people that apply for gun licenses, might even be higher, get them. The 10% they weed out, they say no to, are, people that maybe they robbed a liquor store, maybe they had domestic violence, Maybe they spent time in a mental hospital. Maybe they had a criminal record. Something was seriously wrong. But the vast majority of law abiding can get a gun. Now, yeah, maybe I should. I don't know if anybody's going to watch through all this, but here's the thing. You see this? This is me. I decided at some point, and I've put videos up about how do I defend myself in some way, because I don't want to kill. I don't want something that's dangerous that'll penetrate the walls. Might kill the neighbor's cat, or God forbid the neighbor, or the neighbor's kids. I want something that would deter someone from breaking into the house or in an emergency situation. I've got these tear gas, these paint, this almost like a paintball gun that shoots tear gas. But that's not the interesting thing. What I wanted to ask somebody about, if anybody's still watching, is this hook'em a bobber. This is a Sling Shot. I bought these 50 caliber rounds thinking that they would go in the air gun, and they won't. They won't fit, and you see the rubber balls compress, and that's why they can be fired. These don't compress. Now, when I first tried using this slingshot, it just dropped on the floor. I didn't have any idea how to even hold the ball bearing. I would just and boy they oh these things are awful. They just roll here. Okay. Hopefully I won't do something crazy like break a window or something. Well, if I do, it's not going to go up because we're not live streaming. But here's the thing that I learned, just a basic thing, and you think I know how to do this, but I had no idea. First of all, you hold it down like this so you're not pointing it at anybody, and then you got to pinch it. You can't hold it around the other way. If you don't hold it right, it's going to go off in another direction, or it won't go anyplace at all. You got to pinch it like this. So you got to pinch it and get a good grip on it. Hold it down. I hope this thing. Well, for $10, what can I expect? It's already breaking. What did I expect for $10? Oh well. I mean, what can you expect for 10? But I mean, for $10, it looks neat. Oh, and another point of fact: it's made by Umarex, which is Germany, but they are illegal in Germany. Slingshots aren't, but this you see this brace here. That makes it illegal, I think, to this day in Germany, because in the 60s and 70s, like anarchists and far left nudniks, and maybe far right, I don't know, they get these things, because, I mean, you can't be running around the street with guns in Europe. They're civilized. But I don't know. They had these things, and they could pull them back, and they would shoot a cop in I guess if they hit the shield, that'd be just make a noise and it'd make them nervous. But if you hit their visors or their helmets, I guess like plastic would. It annoyed the police. I think there were some injuries with the police, and I'm not. If you're a police officer, I want you to know I'm not making light of this. I'm not saying ha ha. Go out and shoot the police with a slingshot. Please. It's like this is what I'm saying. People, law-abiding people, don't shoot at the police. They don't try to overthrow the government. I mean, these are very extreme last resort things of society, like the communists invade, North Korea invades or something like that. You have respect for the law and order, and that's not what this is for. But in Germany, that's what they use these for. So slingshots are legal, but a slingshot like this is not legal because nasty leftists used it to shoot at the police. And of course the police didn't like that. But the sad thing is law-abiding people can't use these things now to hunt or whatever people use slingshots for. So law-abiding people can't own them legally. You can't own a slingshot without a brace. And I saw this German guy who posted on YouTube saying, you know what? The brace is no big deal. I don't really miss it. But that's the reason they have that silly law. So you hold it down here. This is just from having it today. I tried it a couple times and it was like a cartoon. The BB just dropped straight down on the floor because I wasn't holding it right or something. And then it went off in a different direction. And one time, oh my God, I got some. I don't know if I have any valuable things in here, but I got a TV and an antenna. I got some fragile things that almost bought it, so I got to be careful. Um, my question is now: take a look at this. This is one of those things that the radicals used to use to shoot at the police with, which I think is very bad. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting you use these things for anything but lawful and legal stuff. But the only point I'm making is that's why they're illegal in Germany, because somebody misused them in a totally bad way, and so now nobody gets to have fun with these. Well, you can have a slingshot, you just can't have a brace. And the guy I saw on YouTube said, yeah, the brace isn't really a big deal. You don't really need it. It doesn't make it any easier to aim, or it doesn't make it all that more effective. It kind of looks cool, and it's if you're a novice and you're not really used to using a slingshot, it might be like a training wheels on a bicycle or something like that to make it easier for you. Here's now I want to ask gun people, because I know this isn't a gun, but I mean, but air guns are air guns, or are bows and arrows guns? This is a weapon. This is one of those, like David Goliath. This was one of those old weapons that they used before guns, I guess, that people still use. Kids use them, although I would not give this to a kid. I wouldn't, especially not with these 50 caliber steel ball bearings. My question is, can this be used for self-defense? Not hurting anybody or doing anything antisocial, but say someone breaks into your house or society breaks down, could you hunt with this? Can you hunt with this? If you hit somebody, if you learned how to use this proficiently, and you took this steel BB and you aimed for somebody's head or their knees, would this deter somebody? Would this hurt them enough? I don't know. I was thinking, if you slammed something this a BB fast enough into somebody's head, you might crack their skull. So I'm asking your advice. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm asking people's advice. Do you think this is a stupid idea? Do people ever use slingshots for self-defense? How dumb an idea is this? I'll just put it that way. How stupid am I to think that I could use something like this to defend my house with? Or maybe we've got a squirrel problem, but I feel so bad for the squirrels. And I guess it's cruel. I can't shoot the deer with it. I mean, not that it would hurt them, and that would make them sore. But they've been eating the tulips and all the flowers. I better not do that either. I'll just stick to the coyote pea. But say someone tries to break into the house. Society breaks down. The truckers cause chaos, and we can't. They don't have parts for the cars, and it ends up that there's no food going to the restaurants or to the grocery stores. And all of a sudden we have riots, and the Oath Keepers and the Antifa and all the fringe groups start going crazy, whichever groups you consider. I mean, if you're on one side, Antifa are the good guys, and if you're on the other side, Antifa are much worse than neo-Nazis, and like Oath Keepers and Three Percenters and the Boogaloo Boys, they're champions of freedom. Whatever side you take, you have to admit there's a lot of lunacy going on in society, and if society breaks down, it would be nice to have some way to defend myself. Ammunition's expensive. I don't want firearms, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have them, but in my case personally, they say it's better to need something and not have it than to have it and not need it, or it's better to have it and not it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I'm of the opinion that having it around can cause a problem, say a misfire or an accident or some sort of domestic squabble with a neighbor or a bump in the night, or God only knows, not that I'm counting on it, but say someone that's not too familiar with guns might shoot themselves in the toe, might get depressed. I don't know. But I do want some way to be able to defend myself. And I was wondering if you could just tell me out there, is this a viable option? Or am I just a complete moron for thinking that I could defend my home, my castle, with a slingshot and 50 caliber metal balls? You tell me. I'm just asking you. I know it's stupid, and I know gun people will probably tell me to buy a bazooka or something like that, but I'm just wondering. I got the slingshot. I'm just wondering, Could I in a pinch? I mean, a 22 caliber rifle could definitely. I mean, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I thought, well, 22. That's, what can you do with the 22? That's not going to kill anybody. It'll just make people mad. I've watched the ballistics on those. You can kill somebody out to. I mean, I wouldn't go deer hunting with it, but a 22 long rifle. I guess the semi-automatic ones are even legal in England, which has strict laws. A 22 long rifle caliber, you can kill somebody out to like 100 yards. It'd have to be vital, I think, but you can, if you hit them in the noggin or whatever, they can go through car doors. Now, my question is the 50 caliber balls, as I showed you, and this. It is neat, and it's kind of fun just to practice with it, to get it. First they just dropped on the ground. It was embarrassing. I was like putting it would just fall out of my hand because I was just so uncoordinated. But I was watching a video and they said muscle memory, and I'm already developing muscle memory with this thing. It's kind of neat. I think that's good for me. But am I being crazy to think that I could defend my home with a slingshot? Or should I just use it for, like, I think my brother said that he's got some property out in the woods, and I was thinking I could take it out and shoot at targets there or whatever. It's not a gun, but it's for self-defense. What do you think? Do you think I'm being a complete... I mean, I could be wrong. You guys, a lot of people, you got a military people, a lot of experience with this sort of thing. I notice a lot of other people have air guns and knives and stuff. Maybe you could tell me, can you defend yourself with a slingshot? How lethal could I get with these? And these aren't plastic balls here. These are solid metal balls. And I imagine if you got them going quick enough and you're close enough to somebody, you could, and you hit them like in the noggin or someplace like an eyeball. Yeah, you could do some damage. So you let me know, and we'll talk. And I'll listen, and I won't be insulting, and I will be respectful. You'll probably call me an idiot, but maybe I am. I don't know. What am I doing?